Warning, this review contains spoilers, so if you haven't watched, don't listen. Sinister tells the story of true crime writer Ellison Oswald and his family as they move into a small town in order for him to write his next big hit. Unbeknownst to the rest of the family, the gruesome murder he aims to write about occurred in the backyard of the house they've moved into. Not a good move by Mr. Oswald. Ellison then finds a box of Super 8 tapes in the attic of the house and sits down in his office to watch them, only to discover that they contain footage of the brutal murders of several families, each one having the common theme of a missing child. The discovery disturbs Ellison. However, he makes a decision to push on for the sake of his next great novel. He begins to hear strange noises around the house. His son begins to have horrifying night terrors, and he discovers that all the murders on tape are connected through a shadowy figure called Bagul, an ancient deity that is referred to as the Eater of Children. At this point, things start to head south for Ellison and his family. His wife says she can't put up with him anymore, he starts to hit the bottle pretty hard, and paranoia has taken its full effect on him. After a particularly terrifying encounter in the house, Ellison decides that his book is simply not worth the toll it has taken on he and his family. He burns the tapes and immediately moves his family back to their luxurious home. Because it's a horror movie, we know this simply can't be the end. We were right. Just when everything seems to be back to normal, Ellison decides to take a trip up to his attic. Bad move, Dad. To his horror, he finds the box of tapes fully intact, along with a few new tapes labeled extended cut endings. Of course, he watches the new tapes and discovers that each of the murders was carried out by the missing children while under the influence of Bagul. Then, as if their situation couldn't get any worse, Ellison learns that each murdered family lived in the previously murdered family's house before they met their unfortunate demise, meaning that by moving, he had sealed his family's fate. The movie ends with the gruesome axe murder of the Oswald family by Ellison's daughter and the appearance of Bagul as he takes her under his wing, along with the other murderous children. The film serves a broad horror audience as it doesn't pander to any one demographic of people. It's an enjoyable flick filled with several pretty good jump scares as well as a pretty horrendous overall theme. Children killing their families and all. Sinister does a better than average job of intertwining jump scares with a horrific plotline, and this combination makes the film appealing to anyone from those just looking for a good jolt of fear to those that prefer some substance to their dose of horror. Its main argument seems to be that Ellison's unwavering desire to write his next big book leads his family to a truly terrible place. It had been 10 years since his last hit, and his longing for another placed his family squarely in the face of danger. The overall message of the film is that fame and fortune come at a cost that in the end may prove to be deadly. Almost the entire film is shot with little or no light, giving it an eerie and suspicious feel to it. Many of the shots are from an old camera that uses a small light so as to draw the audience to a very small area on the screen. That way, when something gruesome or terrifying pops its ugly head into the spot, it makes you jump. The film also plays on everyone's unease when it comes to children and them doing bad things. It takes us to a whole nother level when these kids wipe out their families while under the possession of a demonic entity. It's with this creepy figure, Bagul, that the film touches on the trope of religion. According to the movie, Bagul is an ancient deity that could possess children just by exposing them to his picture. In contrast, with many religious-themed horror films, Sinister stays away from the use of Christianity to portray a black and white view on morality, but rather it sheds a light on a truly darker side of an ancient religion, a side where evil is very much alive and well, and rather than a moral ending at a culmination of a story, there is only sin and death. The controversy in the film is right out in the open. The gruesome murders, from burning you alive to getting your head sliced up by a lawnmower, are certainly perverted to a degree that could turn one's insides. Then, to add the fact that the killings are performed by children on their own parents and siblings makes the film all the more disturbing. The use of children in horror films is always cause for a sense of uneasiness and perhaps reason for controversy. Overall, Sinister does a great job of doing what it's trying to do. It's a better than cheap thrill that has plenty of slightly better than cheap scares set to the backdrop of a disturbing theme. I would give the film a 7.5 out of 10 because though it is successful in its argument, it fails to go above and beyond what the audience would expect. If it weren't for the interesting plotline, each scare would be extremely predictable and may have even taken away from the film's overall message. Despite a few cheap thrills, Sinister is a good horror film with an above-average storyline. I would definitely recommend it to a wide audience that it's intended for, just maybe don't watch with your kids.